Let's bring in now Brianna Lyman, correspondent for The Federalist. It was interesting in that little clip that we heard from former Vice President Kamala Harris. She said, work on building your political power. And I know that she also talked about keep building coalitions. When she says that, Brianna, what do you hear?
Yeah, I think that the idea that the Democrats should keep building coalitions is extremely telling of why Democrats are both ideologically incoherent and politically unstable. Because as a party, they have been so obsessed with this identity based coalition building that they have created this patchwork framework in which they have a bunch of different competing interest groups within their party, all with different priorities, grievances, demands, fighting one another to get the favor of the Democratic leaders. And it becomes a problem for Democrats because if you look at, for instance, the pro-Palestinian wing, they are at odds with the Jewish wing of the party. You have those in the Democratic Party saying men can become women and men should play in women's sports at odds with traditional feminists. All of them are competing. And when it comes to election season, what Democrats have done in the past decade or so is say, let's just cater to the loudest interest group around. And that leaves moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, and independents saying, how does this policy affect me? It seems it's just catering to one particular interest group. So Democrats shouldn't be focused on building different coalitions. They should be focused on articulating a specific set of principles and values in which every interest group can actually find something they like and be under that umbrella.
We're going to get into this young Democrat voters meeting in just a minute. But when you look around the party these days, it seems like socialism and Marxism even have really taken hold of many of the Democrat faithful.
Yeah, I think the appeal of socialism, particularly to, young Democrats, is a failure of political leadership on both sides of the aisle. Because, candidates like Zohran Mamdani, he didn't appeal to young voters because socialism has such a high success rate. He appealed to them, one, because they're historically illiterate, but two, that generation, my generation, we have a very different financial situation than my parents' generation or my grandparents' generation. And a lot of our ruling class does come from those two preceding generations. And so for a lot of young people, it feels as though they haven't realized that times have changed. Things are not the same as 1950, 60, 70, 80, and it's as if they're not listening to us. And what progressives do better than Democrats and Republicans is they say, we hear you. And what the progressives get wrong is then they say, it's because of capitalism. It's not because of capitalism, right? But unfortunately, Republicans and Democrats have yet to head on address these financial problems that my generation is facing. And these young progressives and young Democrats say, hey, Zohran Mamdani is giving me a place to put my blame. I like that. He seems to have a good explanation for why things are bad. I'm going to go with him.
Well, the former vice president seemed to suggest that handouts might be a good thing for the current generation. Listen to Kamala Harris.
I think of you the way history thought of the greatest generation. Remember when our country made a decision to invest in their future with the GI Bill, affordable housing, and economic opportunity. So we've done it before. And in this moment, I believe it is time we do it for you.
So more money for Gen Zers, I guess. I guess that's the short statement there. What do you think about that?
I think it's extremely insulting to compare my generation to the greatest generation is both historically inaccurate and an attempt for Kamala and the Democrats to try and curry favor with young voters. And she talks about entitlements. Look, at the end of the day, the country that we love, not the country that she loves, but the country that we love is not founded on a government that can give out entitlements. Government's sole purpose is just to be there to secure your natural rights, not give you free things. And that's where the divide between Democrats and Republicans has come down to. And unfortunately, what Kamala right now is doing is she is trying to appeal to those young progressive voters who want government to give them everything, who don't want to work for things, and who don't really understand history or finance.
Maybe you can illuminate us about Panda Guy, because at that Democrat conference, young Democrat conference in the D.C. area, they weren't getting a whole lot of excitement, I guess, so they put a guy in a panda head and put him up on stage.
Yeah, John, I saw this and I was also confused, but it's part of the Democrats' playbook. Every time they have to run a campaign or try to appeal to voters, they do things that don't actually resonate, right? Last year, it was Brat Summer. That was supposed to appeal to people my age. I don't know what Brat Summer is. Now they're trotting out a guy in a panda costume. It almost feels like they're trying to appeal to 5-year-olds rather than 18 plus.
It may explain why the opinion of the Democratic Party, according to the latest Fox News poll right now, stands at only 42%. That's favorable, 57% unfavorable. That's a 10% change in the unfavorable rating since October of 2019. Brianna Lyman. Brianna, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.